Wondering what job you could do online that is actually well paid and therefore worth your while? If you're like me, you're not interested in jobs for $10 an hour, but an income which can genuinely support you and your family living a good life. So if that's you, know that in today's video, I'm going to share with you 6 of the best paid jobs you can do online from home, all of which you could make 10K per month or more with. So we are not talking about virtual assistants or completing surveys online or selling handmade items on Etsy where the pay and profit is a pittance. Now, if we haven't met before, it's lovely to meet you. I'm Paige, and I earned my very first dollar online in 2014. So I've been earning an income online for almost 10 years. Now, every job I'm going to share with you today, I've either done personally or have hired someone to do for my business. And I'm going to rate each job on 3 criteria. First, how hard it is to learn the job and actually get started. Secondly, how quickly / potentially slowly it actually takes to make 10K months. And third, I'll also rate it on the level of freedom and lifestyle quality, as for me, those were the 3 most important factors in choosing what work I wanted to do online. First, a content creator, also known as an influencer or blogger or vlogger. Now, this right here is exactly where I started. I started a travel blog way back in the day. Now, how hard is it to learn to be a content creator and get started exactly? Well, for me, I both binged every single blog and podcast and free resource that I could find online to learn about the field. And then I also took a course specifically on the business of travel blogging at the time. And overall, it took me a couple of months to really piece together how exactly to make content that people want to consume and to start earning an income off of it. Now, granted, criteria number 2 is why I didn't continue pursuing this path. I learned the hard way that making money from content creation was a super long game. The way that most content creators monetize their business is through brand deals or affiliate links or selling a product that you create yourself. Sometimes this is a digital product, sometimes this is a physical product, and also in the travel blogging world specifically, selling group tours to your audience was also a monetization strategy. So depending on the niche of your content creation, there could be other options for you too. Now, all of those monetization options, however, required a fair-sized audience, and after I got into this and tracked my statistics, I realized that making real money from content creation would likely take years to build up the following to the point where I'd actually have the followers, enough followers to make this a really cushy full-time income. So if you have the luxury of time and to build a following through literally years of unpaid hours, then being a content creator can be incredible pay and really exponential income growth down the line. I know content creators making way more than $10,000 a month. I was listening to a podcast episode with Grace Beverly, for example. She built a fitness following on Instagram and sold 300,000 workout guide PDFs for $35 each while she was in university. That is $10 million from a PDF made on Canva. Also, the biggest travel vloggers in the world, Kara and Nate, stated in a podcast episode that they were making over 7 figures from their YouTube channel, and their income is a mix of sponsorships and brand deals and YouTube ad revenue. Granted, both of those examples took years building their followings first. Now, these examples are extremes. I am not saying that these numbers are anywhere near normal, but it gives you just a small taste of what is possible when you have built a massive following, and it shows that 10K a month is extremely doable as a content creator. But again, remember, it is a long game of unpaid hours to build the following to make this possible. It is probably multiple years to get the audience to do 10K months, and from there, once you've built that audience, income really does take off and is highly scalable. In terms of criteria number 3, freedom and lifestyle quality, I would rate this an 8 out of 10. Yes, you have deadlines for brands and sponsors likely in this job, but there's also a ton of freedom in when and how you do your work, so it scores pretty beautifully on the freedom and lifestyle quality category. The second job is being a website designer, and this is what I chose to do personally after I scrapped my travel blogging dream. As a travel blogger, I built my own website and loved redesigning the thing, so I figured, heck, why not build websites for other people and earn an income that way? After I looked into it, it turns out that web design is one of the best paid freelance jobs around. $3,000 to $6,000 per project is pretty standard for newer designers, and web designers tend to be able to do a couple of projects per month. With myself and a lot of my students, we were doing $9,000 to $15,000 projects after just a few years. In terms of how hard it is to learn this job and get started, I'd say this is easier than most might initially imagine. Being a web designer no longer requires you to learn how to code, which was always the scary bit that kept people like me from doing a job like this back in the day. But instead, these days, you just need to get really good at working with one website building platform, something like Squarespace or WordPress or Showit or Shopify. With some dedication to online tutorials and or maybe a course or just a lot of trial and error yourself, you could easily learn to become pretty decent at one of the major website building platforms in a matter of weeks or a couple of months. And potentially, like me, if you've tried anything online before, you might have already actually been developing this skill without even actually thinking about it. Next, how quickly / slowly it'll take to make $10,000 a month with this one. Well, let's start with the important bit. How long does it take to land your first paying web design client? I actually surveyed over 700 web designers, and the full results of the survey I'll link below and above. But 61% of designers landed a paying client before they even officially launched their business. So this is definitely an in-demand service. But to get to $10,000 a month requires landing consistent clients and taking into account the web designers could typically complete maybe 2 projects per month. You'd need to command rates of $5,000 per project to reach your $10,000 month. Now, after chatting with a number of my students who have hit $10,000 months, it took most of them a full year, sometimes a bit more, to reach their first $10,000 month. And finally, criteria number 3, freedom and lifestyle quality. I'd give this job a 6 out of 10. It is about as free of a freelance job as you're gonna get because you don't have ongoing clients, you serve year-round, who therefore need you year-round. It's more of a project-based type job. So as a website designer myself, when I took off for vacation for a few weeks, I had no clients who needed me, which I absolutely loved. Granted, this is still one-to-one service provision, meaning you'll likely have a meeting or a call with a client in a project and have deadlines every few weeks. Third, being an online business manager, aka an OBM. So a few years back, I was looking for someone to be able to take the day-to-day of managing my business off of my plate. So to manage my team and our projects and our launches and the admin and all the rest of that sort of day-to-day business stuff. So I hunted around for an OBM and interviewed probably 15 of them. Now, if you're more familiar with the corporate world, an OBM is kind of like the online equivalent of a project manager, or for a bigger business, a chief operating officer. So in terms of how hard it is to learn this job, I do need to state a potentially unpopular opinion, and that is that a lot of people calling themselves OBMs actually have no clue how to do this job properly. A lot of virtual assistants who want higher pay change their title to OBM without really up-leveling their skills much, and I know of a few business owner friends who have had to let go of their OBM pretty quickly when it became clear that they didn't really have the skills to do this job well. So, in terms of how hard it is to learn this job and get started, I'd say you would either want a background in project management, or also you could do a good few years as a VA where you've really grown in independence and decision-making ability, and definitely have taken an online course on how to do this job with someone who is legit. And also, be sure to read the book Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman and pay very close attention to everything he says about integrators and what they do, as that is basically what an OBM does. Now, in terms of how quickly / slowly it'll take to make $10,000 a month, we first need to talk about typical OBM rates. So OBMs typically take on multiple clients at a time, and they're on retainer. So they're hired by the business month in and month out, as opposed to just doing one-off projects. And OBMs charge around like $40 to $60 an hour. And so working 40 hours a week, you'd make $6,700 a month, charging $40 per hour, or just break the 10K months by charging $60 an hour. Now, to get to the point where you're commanding $60 per hour, I'd say it'd be a few years of gaining experience to get there. The really good thing that I need to mention about being an OBM is that, as I said, you typically keep the same clients month to month. Meaning that once you've landed those clients and you keep them happy, it isn't super necessary to keep marketing yourself and finding new clients. Which brings me to freedom and lifestyle quality. So when it comes to freedom, this job is probably one of the worst of all the ones that I'll talk about today. Of course, I'd say any of these jobs are better than a 9-to-5 by far, but in comparison to the other ones that we'll speak about, this one probably isn't the best on this category. Being an OBM is one-to-one service provision, and because the clients are consistent, that's great, as you don't always need to be going and finding new clients. But that also means that the business owner is probably going to be hiring you and expecting you to be the one running the day-to-day of the business while they're away living their life. So I wouldn't expect to be able to take any really long periods of time of vacation from this kind of job. So for that reason, I would give this a 4 out of 10 in terms of freedom and lifestyle quality. Now, fourth and our final one-to-one service provision option is being an ads manager. So that could be Facebook and Instagram ads managers, Google ads managers, YouTube ads, Pinterest ads. Those tend to be the main ads platforms. Granted, I would not recommend learning all of them. You really just need to get good at one ads platform, and they're pretty different, so the learning curve will be a lot shorter if you choose to learn just one rather than all of them. In terms of length of time to learn this, I'd say this is similar to website design. With dedication to some online tutorials and / or maybe a course, you could pretty easily become decent at ads management in a couple weeks or months. Of course, trial and error isn't quite as possible with this job as maybe website design, because that would require you pouring a lot of your own money into ads to do the testing and the learning. So I would suggest either taking a course or doing a few clients where you offer the service of your management for free and then you use their money to actually spend on the ads. Or potentially you could work for another ads management agency where they look over your work and give you feedback, and that would be another good way to learn. Now, in terms of pay, ads managers tend to take on a few clients at a time, maybe like 3 to 5, and charge anywhere from $1,500 a month to $5,000 a month to each client. So to get to 10K months, I think you'd be looking at a few months of learning, maybe working for an agency where you'd make a portion of what the client actually pays to really hone your skills with oversight, or you could do a few clients for free using their money to learn while running the ads and then potentially striking out on your own. So I'd say probably 1 to 2 years to get to those 10K months. And in terms of criteria number 3, freedom and lifestyle quality, I would rate this about the same as being an OBM. Some clients will be spending tens of thousands of dollars per week on ads, and they are definitely going to want someone overseeing that ad spend at all times. So if you want to take time off, you're likely going to need to train someone to take over for you while you're away and build a team. Granted, in terms of the day-to-day work, this job doesn't require a ton of client calls and is pretty flexible in terms of when you do your work in a week, so that's a major positive. Next, let's talk about 2 super scalable jobs. These next 2 are not one-to-one service provision, but they're more passive style income streams and jobs. Fifth, selling digital templates. Think social media templates, website templates, PowerPoint slide templates, legal templates, calendar templates, those sorts of things. So first, how hard is it to learn this job and get started? Honestly, I'd say this one is fairly easy compared to the others. A lot of people kind of fall into this one because they've done it themselves and loved it. So if you find yourself loving designing slides on Canva or making websites on Squarespace, you've probably been teaching yourself this one without actually even thinking about it. A few weeks to learn how to make really well-created, styled, and branded templates, and you are off to the races, friend. Now, the thing with this job, which will take longer than learning to create the actual templates themselves, is learning how to sell them. You pretty much have 3 options when it comes to selling strategies. First, become obsessed with learning what it takes to raise to the top of the rankings on sites like Etsy and Creative Market, or second, building an audience and selling the templates on your own website to your own people, or third, getting affiliates to promote them for you. So coming back to the content creator, option number 1, as I said, it'll take a good few months or maybe a year to build a sufficient audience to sell digital products like templates en masse, so it actually hits $10,000 a month. Alternatively, you could crack the code on getting your templates to rank at the top of creative marketplaces, or a lot of template shops that I know, the Creative Law Shop, which sells legal templates, or Tonic Site Shop and Go Live HQ and Big Cat Creative, which sell website templates, they all use affiliates, and this could take just a matter of weeks or months to build an affiliate program and onboard some affiliates with audiences who need what it is that you're selling. So between learning to create the templates, creating the things, and then setting up your sales strategy, I think maybe 6 months to a year to get this built out to the point that it could make $10,000 months is realistic. Now, in terms of income, of course, we need to talk about the price of the templates, as some of these cost a lot more than others. People are not likely to spend $400 to get an Instagram image template or maybe a PowerPoint slide template. They're probably not going to pay $400 for that. But they are super likely to buy a $400 website template or a legal template. And of course, the higher the template cost, the smaller the audience that you need to build in order to hit 10K months. So to reach your goals faster, I would suggest to create something higher price, as it would probably take years to make $10,000 a month if you're selling, say, for example, $5 printable templates. Now, in terms of freedom and lifestyle quality, I would put this right up there at the top, maybe like a 9.5 out of 10. It pretty much doesn't get better than this. You can batch your work, take off however long you want for vacation. You have no one-to-one client work in this style of business. You will probably get questions and you will need to do customer service for these templates and for your potential customers. And since the internet functions 365 days a year, you'll probably want to outsource some customer service in order to get to the complete 10 out of 10 freedom that you're looking for. But until you hire that customer service person, I'd say that, again, this would get a 9.5 out of 10 in my books in terms of freedom. Next is online course sales. So in order to sell an online course, you're going to want to be an expert in something. Now, you might think, oh, Paige, it's going to take me ages to become an expert in something. But honestly, I think that there's probably something that you're already an expert at that you could probably teach a course on. So, for example, I had moved to Germany as an expat, and just by the nature of having done that thing, I was kind of an expert at moving to Germany as an expat. Granted, I never actually created a course on moving to Germany. I wasn't that super passionate about the topic, but I did decide to start a course on how to be a web designer after I had successfully run a web design business for myself for a good while. So the length of time to learn to teach the thing could very well be nothing, as most course creators teach on something they're already an expert on. Now, in terms of length of time to build the course itself, this can be as long or as short as you'd like it to be. So some people pre-record the entire course. Others decide to deliver the course content live, which means really not so much upfront work, just making yourself an outline. Now, the thing which will take the most amount of time when it comes to courses is preparing the marketing materials, like the sales page and the sales emails and the posts, and of course, building the audience. Audience building will take the most time for this one. The rest is really the easier and faster bit. Now, in terms of how quickly / slowly it'll take to make $10,000 a month, we need to talk about typical course pricing. So courses tend to range in price from a few $100s per course to a few $1,000s per course. So depending on your course price, let's say maybe you sell 20 courses at $500 a course, or alternatively, if you up your course price, you could sell 5 courses at $2,000 a course to hit your 10K month. Now, in order to do that, I think honestly, if you focused your efforts on audience building for a few good months, you could build the audience to make those course sales possible in just a few months of really concentrated effort. Now, I sold my first course after 1 year of consistent blogging and email list building, so building my audience. And on my first launch, I made $19,000. So that's just one example, but I hope that gives you a rough idea of what it looked like for me at least. So in terms of freedom and lifestyle quality, this is almost the exact same as template sales. I'd put it right up there at a 9.5 out of 10. As a course creator myself, I can take weeks off for vacation. My work is batched. I have almost no calls and meetings. So this really is the freedom business dream. And if you have a team to manage the customer service, I'd actually give it a 10 out of 10 again. Now, getting to 10K a month is really just the beginning. Over the years, I've built out 7 income streams in my business, which make $62,500 a month, and I learned a lot in the process of building those income streams. So I detailed all of that in this video. Be sure to watch it next to get a peek at what is possible for you a few years down the line in online business and the big lessons I learned when building out so many income streams.